Did Jesus have brothers? Was Mary, the mother of Jesus, a perpetual virgin? Good evening, friends. Welcome to my video this week. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel right by clicking below and also like and share this video. We are going to talk about a contentious issue between Roman Catholics and Protestants. The question is about, did Jesus really have blood brothers? And was the mother of Jesus, Mary, a perpetual virgin? These two questions are kind of related, but not necessarily related, but we will look at those things in details. First of all, I will be starting by introducing some of the people that are involved in this discussion, in this question. Related to the descriptions in the Bible. So we will kind of introduce you to the Marys in the Bible, some important people who are named Mary, and then some people who are named James, and a few others who are named Judas. And we will go from there and look at the historical data that we have to see what we can learn from the early records, early historical records, and church fathers. We'll also look at the biblical references that are related to this question, and also look at the languages that are used, the linguistic aspect of this argument. We will then also look at some of the theories that are given in order to explain the various positions that are held by various groups, especially the Catholics and the Protestants. We will also have a concluding session, a brief one, not really telling you what to believe, but asking you to go where the evidence leads. So we will start with meeting or getting to know the people. First of all, when we look at the New Testament, we have to keep in mind that names like Joseph, Mary, Jesus, even Jesus, and James, Judas, these are very common names in the New Testament time. And we see that evidently in the gospel records. You will be surprised to see how many people are there with the same names. So we are not going to look at all of them, but we are going to look at some important people. First of all, we will meet three Marys. So I'm going to read John chapter 19, verse 25. So this is happening at the crucifixion of Jesus, and there is a crowd, and that crowd, verse 25 says, John 19:25, near the cross of Jesus stood his mother. So that's one Mary, Jesus' mother Mary, his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas. So there's a second Mary who is also a Mary, and it says that was Jesus' mother's sister. And her name is also Mary, and she is the wife of someone named Clopas. And Mary Magdalene. So there is a third Mary right here in this one passage, at the crucifixion of Jesus. So when we talk about Mary, just keep in mind that there are different Marys. There's a reason why I'm mentioning this. We'll come back to that later, because there is an argument suggested by Jerome that some of these brothers that we see in the Bible are actually the children of this sister of Mary, Jesus' mother Mary, who is called also Mary and is the wife of Clopas. Now, we will just leave it there. So we have these three Marys, at least, at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And then when we come to the name James, we also have different James in the Bible. So we are going to look at a couple of the references for the mention of James we have in the Bible. First of all, we see in Mark chapter 15, verse 40, it says, some women were watching from a distance, and this is again a crucifixion scene. And then it says, these women, as they were watching from the distance, among them were Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, the younger, and of Joseph. Now remember, in the Johannine passage, we read that there was a Mary who was called the sister of Mother Mary. And now that Mary has two children, and they are called James the younger and of Joseph and Salome. So she has three children. And so then we see one James here. Now this James is James the younger, not James, the other James that we read about, in Mark chapter 6, verse 3. In Mark chapter 6, verse 3, we see another James. Actually, we see Jesus and sorry, let me read that. Isn't this no? This is happening when people are asking questions about the identity of Jesus. When they saw the miracles that Jesus was performing. So in Mark chapter 6, verse 3, it says, "Isn't this the carpenter? Isn't this Mary's son, and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon?" See, again, you see here, Jesus is called the son of Mary, of course, but then also he is known to be the brother of James. Now, in the other passage, we saw that there is a James who is the son of the other Mary, okay, not the mother Mary. So then it says, "Aren't his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. So here we have a second James in the passage that we just looked at. We will also look at Mark chapter 15. Sorry, we just read that. So now we saw now James the younger, and then we have James, the son of this sister Mary, and now we are going to look at another one in Matthew chapter 10, verses 2 to 3. Matthew chapter 10, verses 2 to 3. This is where we have the list of the apostles. And in that, we actually see two more James. Okay, verse 2. "These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, who is called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, son of Zebedee." Okay, so there is now a third James. He is the son of Zebedee. And then as we go on to verse 3, it says, "Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus." Okay, so now in this passage itself, we have two James, James, the son of Zebedee, James, son of Alphaeus, and we already looked at James the younger. We also looked at, the other passage which confirms that James is also possibly, a child of the other Mary, the sister of Jesus' mother. Now, who was the sister of Jesus' mother? It could be a blood sister or a cousin sister. Now, it is not uncommon in those kind of culture to have same name for siblings in the same family. Someone will be called the elder Mary, the other one will be called a younger Mary. In India, where we come from, even today, we have people holding same names. In the same family, siblings will have same name. For example, there will be in our context, they will be called the elder Teresa and the younger Teresa. They will have the same name for siblings. Now, when we look at Judas, we have the same thing in the same scriptures that we looked at in Matthew 10, verses 2 to 3. We see one Judas, that's Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus. And then in Acts 1:13, we see another Judas in Acts 1:13. Let me read that. "When they arrived, they went upstairs to the room where they were staying. Those present were Peter, John, James, and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James, the son of Alphaeus, and Simon the Zealot, and Judas, son of James." Now we see another James here, and then a son of James who is also called Judas. Now, this Judas is not Judas Iscariot, because Judas Iscariot had already committed suicide by this time. So this is another Judas. So we are again talking about at least three Judas here in these passages that we quickly looked at. Now, looking at the historical background of this question, did Jesus have brothers, or was James a brother of Jesus? In one of the references that we need to look at is the belief that James was the brother of Jesus Christ. No, we see that in Mark chapter 6, verse 3, we already read that. People are asking this question, isn't he the brother of James? So he's called the brother of James in that passage, but it's not that it is there alone that he is called the brother of Jesus Christ. He is also called the brother of Jesus Christ in other passages, like in Galatians chapter 1, verse 19. In Galatians chapter 1, 19, Paul says, when he went to Jerusalem after his conversion, I saw none of the apostles except James, the Lord's brother. See, Paul is calling James Lord's brother. That's a special title, a special position given to James here. We also see in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 7, Paul speaks about the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus Christ to the disciples of Jesus. And he lists James as one of the first ones. He says, then he appeared to James and then to all the apostles. So there is a special appearance given to this James, and tradition holds that this James was the brother of Jesus Christ, the blood brother of Jesus Christ, and that's how he came to faith. His family was not really accepting him or believing in him, but he becomes like a first convert and believes and goes on to become a church leader in Jerusalem. And Paul says, he is the only one besides Peter whom he met when he visited Jerusalem. Now, looking at the historical background of this question, did Jesus have brothers or not? We look at Josephus first, because he is the first one, a contemporary of Jesus and the apostles. Josephus has written about the assassination or the murder or the martyrdom of James. And when he mentions about that, he says James was put to death by Ananias, who was the high priest then. No, and he says this James was the brother of Jesus. Okay, so this is from Josephus, who was a historian. He is not a Christian. He's from a Jewish background, never believed in Christ, at least openly. And he has written this, and he says that James was a brother of Jesus Christ. Now, the second one is Tertullian. We see Tertullian, who lived between 160 to 220 AD. So we are talking about the second half of the 2nd century and early 3rd century. And he said James, the apostle who was martyred, was the blood brother or the uterine brother. He actually uses the word uterine brother of Jesus Christ, which means they both came from the same uterus of the same person. So according to Tertullian, one of the early church leaders, that's the belief. And then we have the writing of another person called Hegesippus. And Hegesippus wrote that Jesus and James were children from the same womb. So according to Hegesippus, just like Tertullian said, they were uterine brothers from the same womb. Now, Hegesippus wrote between 174 to 189 AD. So we are again talking about the late 2nd century. And we also have writing from Eusebius, who was a famous church historian. Now, Eusebius wrote that James, the brother of Jesus Christ, was the first bishop of Jerusalem. Now, this is special because Peter is not the bishop of Jerusalem. James becomes the bishop of Jerusalem. And, we see when we look at the New Testament, when churches are planted, they are not planting branches of Jerusalem churches. We know Paul and Barnabas were sent out from Antioch to plant churches. They were not planting churches as a branches of Antioch church. They were just planting independent churches, church at Ephesus, church at Galatia, church at Corinth and church at Philadelphia and things like that. So churches were independent, and these churches had their own bishops. Just like, the church in Rome had a bishop, right? Until the papacy came later on, when the Roman Catholics church became prominent after the conversion of after the mass conversion of Romans, after the conversion of Constantine. Now that happens in the early 4th century and onward, but until then we see that in the 2nd century the belief that was held, and even the 3rd century, the belief that was held by the church leaders was that James was a brother, a uterine brother or blood brother of Jesus from the same mother. Now, these are not necessarily concluding evidences, because we know that the Catholics disagree to that and they have their own argument. But before we go to their argument, we will also look at the languages that are used, the words that are used. In Greek, for brother, the word used by apostles and Paul is adelphos. Now, the word adelphos means brother. It is usually used for own brothers. Okay, usually used for own brothers. And there is actually another word for cousin brothers. It's called, the word is anepsis, and that is not the word that is used for James or Jude when we read the scriptures. So one argument is that because it is the word adelphos, it means that it is own brother. But again, you have to keep in mind that own brother could be even Joseph's children, not necessarily in Mary, but in another wife earlier. So they could be considered own brothers too, like a stepbrother rather than a cousin brother. So there are other possibilities. That's why if you look at many evangelical commentaries on James and Jude, you will see them identified as half brothers of Jesus Christ, not really holding the view that they are uterine brothers. Now, we also see a couple of important other words that are advanced as arguments for the belief that Jesus had brothers. The first one is the word used in Luke chapter 2, verse 7. The word used in Luke chapter 2, verse 7 is prototokos. It says that Jesus was born as the firstborn of Mary, as the first child of Mary, not as a special child. The word for that would be like monogenes, or monogenes, but the word is prototokos, which means the first child. Now you have to keep in mind, this is Luke, a doctor, making this comment. He's medically qualified to be precise in his language, so he says that it is the firstborn. So there is an assumption based on that Jesus was the firstborn, and possibly Mary had other children after that. Again, not a conclusive argument there, because when I had my first child, a girl, she was my firstborn. Now, whether we had a child after that or not, she was the firstborn. She is the firstborn. It doesn't change whether the status, in spite of whether we have more children or not. But we have to also keep in mind that Luke is writing after the death of Jesus Christ, after the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So if there were more children, it's possible that he used this word prototokos for Jesus. But again, like I said, not a conclusive argument there. We also see another reference about Joseph having his relationship with Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ. And in this reference, we see that let me get the reference for that. Matthew chapter 24, verse 25. In Matthew chapter 24, sorry, that I got that reference wrong. Let me quickly get the reference, because that reference is very important. All right, give me 1 second. I'll quickly get that. So it's Matthew 1:25. In Matthew 1:25, it reads like this in English. Let me get a familiar version so it will be easy for us. So in the new, let me read Net Bible. I like Net Bible. So, but he did not have marital relations relations with her, with Mary, until she gave birth to a son whom he named Jesus. So in this verse, it says, Joseph did not have marital relationship with Mary until Jesus was born. Now, based on this, an assumption is that it was until then he did not have that relationship, but after that, Joseph had that relationship with Mary. Again, that doesn't mean that Mary had more children after that. It doesn't mean that just because someone has physical relationship or marital relationship, there will be more children. But if he had that relationship after the birth of Jesus, it means that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was not a perpetual virgin. Whether she had more children or not, that's a different question. But if she had more children, of course, she wouldn't be a perpetual virgin. But in spite of that, like I said, just because Mary had relationship or marital relationship, it wouldn't assume that James or Jude are blood brothers or uterine brothers. They could be step brothers, but not uterine brothers. So this is again an argument that is put forward to argue that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was not a perpetual virgin, and possibly she might have had other children too. Just a possibility towards that issue. Now, there was a change, like I said, from 2nd century, 3rd century, the belief about James and Jude, is that they are either uterine brothers or blood brothers. But as the Rome converted to Christianity and new ideas started coming out, slowly the concept of Roman Catholic Church started taking place as power concentration started flowing towards the capital of the empire. Rome becomes a strong center and new theories started coming up. Now, even then, some of the old beliefs were still held. So we are going to look at some of the theories that came up during the late 3rd century and early 4th century and 5th century. So there were 3 main theories about the brotherhood of these apostles, James and Jude. The first one is the Epiphanian theory. According to Epiphanius, who was the bishop of Salamis. Like I said, these are all independent churches, and he was the bishop of Salamis between 315 to 403. And he says both James and Jesus were, James and Jude were sons of Joseph in a former wife before he married Mary. Possibly Joseph's first wife passed away, and he had some children in that first marriage, and then he married Mary, who was already pregnant with Jesus, and he was born, and he had no relationship with her until Jesus was born. So that's the first theory. Second one is Helvian theory. Now, Helvian theory was brought forth in the late 4th century. So we are again talking about 370s, 380s, 390s. So late 4th century. According to this theory, they were both, like sons of Joseph and Mary. So just like Tertullian said, they were uterine brothers. So you see that the same belief is also continuing according to the second theory, which is known as Helvian theory. And then we have another theory that came up, which is like a new theory under the Roman Catholic belief system promoted by Jerome. And Roman Catholic Church usually holds to this theory even today. And according to this theory, that was brought forward by Jerome, who lived between second half of 4th century and early 5th century. These brothers, James and Jude, were not real brothers of Jesus, but they were brothers, like cousin brothers. Now when we read the passage earlier in John chapter 19, verse 20, 24, 25, we read about a Mary who is the sister of Jesus' mother. So another Mary, the second Mary, who was the sister of Jesus. I already spoke to you about that. And she is also the wife of Clopas. And this Mary is possibly referred in another passage as the mother of James. So, and Salome and all. So they say that, or Jerome says that these James and Judas, the brothers who are called the brothers of Jesus, are actually cousin brothers of Jesus, born in this Mary, who is the wife of Clopas. So they are not uterine brothers, they are not blood brothers, they are cousin brothers. Now, that's the theory that the Roman Catholic Church believes today. Now, I kind of presented you the historical views, the linguistic arguments, and also the theories that has been brought forward by the church in the early centuries, like 3rd century, 2nd century, 3rd century, 4th century. Now, there is one reference that we should consider as also an important argument that is brought forward by Roman Catholic Church. I think, personally, I think this is like the strongest argument for their position that Mary, the mother of Jesus, did not have more children, and to believe that James and Jude were not uterine brothers, they were not even blood brothers. So there are a couple of things. One is not the main argument, I'm coming to that, but before that, I just want to mention this. So they say when Mary, the mother of Jesus, and the brothers of Jesus, who are called brothers of Jesus, like James and Jude and all, come, and they are asking Jesus to discontinue what he was doing. They say the context, the way it is, the communication is taking place doesn't seem like these were Jesus' younger brothers. It seems like they were older to Jesus, and they had kind of an authority over a younger brother to tell him, to stop doing what he was doing. However, again, we are not sure about that. Let's just leave it there by just mentioning or accepting that argument, and then go to the strong argument, which is based on the relationship of John the Apostle and Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ, after the crucifixion of Jesus and even after the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We read about that during the crucifixion account of Jesus Christ. We just looked at in John chapter 19. We are going to look at verse 26 and 27, verses 26 and 27. So when on the cross, this is like one of the last verses of Jesus Christ, and when on the cross, it reads like this: when Jesus saw his mother there, so we have again Mary standing there, Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ. Jesus saw her, and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby. Now we know that this is John writing in third person about himself. So is John the apostle. So Jesus sees Mary, his mother, and then John the apostle whom he loved standing by. And then by looking at them, Jesus tells to Mary, "Woman, here is your son." And verse 27, and to the disciple, "Here is your mother." Now, just take it into consideration. If James and Jude, who were the brothers of Jesus Christ, and other children were there as Jesus' own brothers, and Mary is there as their either mother or stepmother, will this happen? Will Jesus ask someone else to take care of Mary, who is now like an orphan? It's not only that, and then what happens after that is not only about the time of the 3 days of disappointment, but even the post-resurrection. As John is writing his gospel much later, John's gospel is known to be the last gospel to be written, last of the canonical gospels, and he says, and this disciple, from that time onwards, he took her into his home. Okay, from that time onwards, now he's possibly writing, possibly Mary died before John the apostle, but he says he took her into her home since then. Okay, which means she probably lived with him till the end of her life. We don't see any references in the writings of John, who is the last one of the apostles to die, about either the ascension of Mary or her perpetuality as a virgin or anything like that. But like I said again, there is no argument for a perpetual virginity, but there is possible argument to show that Mary did not have more children, because looks like she was an orphan when Jesus died. Now, what do we learn from this? So what, after saying all this, couple of things. One is, I see sometimes the Catholics and Protestants having kind of very ferocious argument about Jesus' brothers and the perpetual virginity of Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ. Well, I presented you the historical views, the linguistic arguments, and the theories. I also presented, I kind of accepted the strength of the argument based on John's relationship to Mary. It's a very powerful argument to argue that Mary possibly had no more children. But again, I just want to leave you with those evidences. It's for you to weigh and believe, where the evidences leads you to believe. Okay, that's for you to. But then, so what? Why am I saying this? Well, there's two things. One is we don't have to fight over some things that are not worth fighting. For example, let me ask you this question: what if Mary had more children of Jesus after Jesus Christ? Okay, what theology does it change for a Christian? I'm talking about evangelical Christian now, or, especially Protestant Christians. Does our theology change anyway if Mary had more children, or if Mary had no children? Okay, so we are not going to gain anything by arguing that Mary had more children or Mary did not have more children. The only thing we can prove by that is that she was not a perpetual virgin. Again, like I said, there's no argument for that in the Bible anyway. Okay, so when you consider that one question, did Jesus have brothers? Again, it doesn't matter if he had brothers or not. Okay, if it was cousin brothers or not, it doesn't matter in any way to our theology on that part. Now, when it comes to the perpetual virginity of Mary, that's a different question about Mariology, about praying to Mary and, considering her as a superhuman being and worshiping her and all. That's part of Mariology. Now, that's a different topic. I'm not going to deal with that. But like I said, there is, based on, the fact that Joseph knew her, and that's how the most translation tell about the post birth relationship Joseph had with Mary. So he knew her after Jesus was born, and possibly that means she was not a perpetual virgin. But like I said again, whether she had children or not is not going to make any change to our theology, but it will make a change to our Mariology. All right. Like I said, go where the evidence leads. Again, let's not fight about these things. There shouldn't be any bad comments underneath this. This is just to consider the evidence. You are free to believe whatever you want to believe. That's a freedom given by God, and enjoy that. Truth will set you free, and I hope that happens to you too. God bless you all. Thank you. Like I said earlier, if you like my videos, please click like and share my videos, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you. God bless.